Welcome back to another episode of Overshot Podcast, man. We are down to number 22. FaZe, we are moving up and down this rankings, man. I hope y'all been enjoying these because me and FaZe put a lot of hours, blood, sweat, tears into this ranking, man. We want to bring you the best quality because we believe we have the best NBA preview in the land. Anywhere that you listen, anybody, whoever your favorite, ESPN, Bleacher Report, The Ringer, Uninterrupted, any USA Today, anybody that's out there, we feel like we had the best one. So let's move into the next team phase. That next team is going to be the number 22 team. And if you caught the hint on my last episode, it's no way that you could not know who this is. Drake, who is Drake's favorite team, NBA team phase?
Toronto Raptors. So there's a lot to say about this team, but keep it traditional. Do you know any Toronto Raptor fans?
I do not. I just thought about that. I do not know any. Nope. I knew some people that were Kawhi fans that cheered for them while he was there, but they wasn't Toronto fans. So I do not know any
They're
Toronto.
playing the Warriors in finals. I was cheering for them while he was there. So.
Oh yeah. I was too. But I wasn't cheering for them as a team. I was just cheering for them to beat the Warriors.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the same. I do know one. I used to work with a person named Robert when I worked at not my previous job, my job before that. And he was a Raptors fan. And he said, right when they got Kawhi, he said, excuse me, this year feels different, right? I'll never forget this. He literally told me that to me. This year feels different. In my mind, I'm like, yeah, right. They're not going to win no championship, whatever. And they end up winning. It's crazy. But besides the point, Robert, if you're listening, I do want to recognize you as a Toronto Raptors fan. So there were some major changes to Toronto. One, they didn't play in Toronto at all last year. Do you feel like that had an effect on them as a team?
I feel like they had a major effect on them. Like, no lie. I feel like they had a major effect on them. Like, not being able to go home to their family, not being able to go home, period, to their kids, their wife, their girlfriends, their sneaky links, whoever. They was
focus on basketball.
Whoever, dog, they couldn't, whatever they couldn't do, I know that affected them, and I know they had to affect them on the court, in my opinion.
So they had a 27-45 record. Let's say they played in Toronto last year and it wasn't a COVID year. Do you think where do you think they'd like rank in terms of wins?
I feel like they would have gotten to the playoffs if they were at home. I feel like let me say this. I feel like not being home made a big impact on them, but I feel like losing their veteran leadership had a big impact. Okay. So losing players like Serge Ibaka, losing players like Marcus Gasol, losing veterans on their team had a bigger impact on their team than not playing at home, because I feel like if they had those veteran leaders, they would have been able to weather the storm of them not being at home to kind of help them focus more on basketball. But it's kind of like that was all on their mental. You can tell by the way they was playing, and they kind of threw Pascal Siakam in that spot. Like, all right, Serge is gone, Mark is gone, Kyle Lowry's been in and out the lineup because he's dealing with injury. So now it's your turn to lead us. And when he first stepped into the lineup, he had all of them around him on top of Kawhi.
Right.
So for to go from all that to a season removed from that, or 2 seasons removed from that, and they have to deal with you being that man, it's kind of hard. And I don't think he was ready for that. And I feel like that had a bigger impact. But I do feel like if they was at home and they still had those veteran leaders, they would have made the playoffs for sure.
Oh, I can agree with that. If they had the vets and they were at home, I think they would have made the playoffs as well too. They made some changes and lost some key people this year. So most notable, they lost Kyle Lowry to the Miami Heat in a sign and trade, but they did get back a pretty solid piece in Precious Achiuwa. But the main person they got back was Goran Dragic, who does not want to be part of that type of scenario right now in his career. I think he wants to compete for a championship more so, or maybe even play with Luka Doncic. Who knows? What do you kind of feel about that? Like, now they have Precious, they have Goran, and I'll dig deeper into some of their other pieces, but since we're on topic about losing Kyle Lowry right now, and another vet, their key vet, probably the best player in their history. No, not to Chris Bosh, but Kyle Lowry won a championship.
Vince Carter too? No, not to Vince Carter either.
Oh yeah, you're right. Vince Carter too. You're right. He is iconic there. I'm not going to discredit that.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? Like, do you think that? How do you think that's going to affect them? I guess my question is, like, no vets now. There's only 2 players remaining from that championship team on there now, and that is Pascal and Fred VanVleet.
So I'm glad you brought up Fred VanVleet, because I am not a fan of Fred VanVleet.
Wow,
I'm not a fan of his leadership style. His game on the court, It's good. It's okay. But his leadership style, I feel like so when like I was saying how all those vets went away, and when they had all these vets, players like Fred VanVleet really didn't have a big voice. Even if he had a voice, it was just like, all right, dude, chill. We got leadership. We good.
Yeah.
And Pascal. So Fred and Pascal had to be the ones to step into that role because Fred had a coming out party in that finals against the Golden
Yes, he
State.
did.
Once
Three after three
he had
after
his
three.
son, once he had his son, he couldn't miss from the three. And he had to come, he was giving Curry the business like
Yes, it
every
was.
night. He was giving Curry the business. So he had a coming out party. Then he got his contract. He got paid. So I feel like he felt like, okay, I had my coming out party. I got my money. Now I got to step and be that leader. Sometimes people feel like when you get certain stuff, okay, now that makes you the leader. Like if you're the best player on the team, okay, you're the leader. And that's not always not the case. That's always not the case. The best leaders on some teams are not always the best players. Sometimes it's the bench guy. Sometimes it's the role player. Sometimes it's the point guard that's barely like a Rondo type point guard. Sometimes it's players like that.
Udonis Haslam role sometimes.
Exact. Sometimes it's like that, and every best player is not built to be a leader. Zach
Correct.
LaVine, to be exact. I know I talked about Zach LaVine last episode, and I'm talking about him again. But yeah, Zach LaVine, to be exact. I don't feel like he's the best leader right now. They can grow into be a leader, but it's just right now he's not one. But Fred VanVleet, to me, he was just doing stuff on the basketball court that I feel like as a want to be a leader on a team is not something you should do while you like screaming at players, always screaming at them, always talking to them, like stuff like that. Everybody not don't receive that well, and it was too many times in a Toronto Raptors game while I was watching that he would be on the court and he would just be yelling at people, dog, like real deal, yelling at them on the court, and I'd be like, oh man, if I was his teammate, I'd get so tired of that.
Yeah.
If I was his teammate,
you have to see me in the locker room.
huh?
You gotta hit him with you have to come see me in the locker room then.
Something, man, because it's like, dog, I'm not your child. Why are you yelling at me like this?
Okay.
Like, I can understand heat of the moment things, but it be constantly like you'll see somebody miss an assignment and Fred VanVleet just yell at them, and I'll be like, dog, what is wrong with that's not going to be received real for long.
Right.
So missing Kyle is gonna have Fred VanVleet to have even a bigger role now. Now that Kyle is gone, so we're gonna see if he can step into that role. And I know you haven't gotten to your draft picks yet, and I'm gonna let you say who you want. I'm gonna let you say who they got drafted and everything. But I feel like they didn't take Jalen Suggs because they want Fred VanVleet to step into that role as a starting point guard, and they didn't want to have him have any competition. And I just don't think he's that guy, at least not right now. He can grow into be a leader. He can grow to be somebody people want to follow. But right now, I don't think he's that guy.
He is interesting. He's a talented basketball player. Like he's a good basketball player. Like, right? I think he shoots a little too many threes, but hey, who am I to knock someone else's game as an NBA? But that actually is a perfect segue to talk about who they did not draft in Jalen Suggs and who they did draft in Scotty Barnes. Some people didn't see as a surprise. Some people see as a big surprise. Scotty Barnes labels himself as a 6'9" point guard. So, I mean, if you see the kid play, he plays. I don't know how to explain it. Like he is all heart, all energy, all game long. He can dribble the basketball. He control the basketball. He plays amazing defense. He'll rebound. He'll take any challenge on and embrace it to the fullest. Like Scotty Barnes is a really good basketball player, and if they didn't draft him at 4, he would have for sure been gone by 5. So it's a good player, but an interesting choice with Jalen Suggs on the board, and who many thought could slide in and replace what they just lost in Kyle Lowry. So what do you feel about that? Do you feel like Scotty was the right choice, or do you think they should have went Suggs, or how do you feel like? What do you think their vision is with this pick?
My vision is kind of what I said is about they wanted Fred to step into that role as a solo starting point guard, and they already had I know you probably gonna get to it, but they just traded for Gary Trent Jr. and they planned on paying him, and they did pay him, and now they wanted him to step into that shooting guard role, and they probably wanted to get away from the small backcourt, because if they would have bought in Jalen Suggs, it would have been Jalen and Fred. And they probably moved Gary to the 3, and they just would have been small backcourt. So they probably wanted to get away from that. They probably wanted to get a long wing like Scotty that can play multiple positions, that can do multiple things. And they probably want to get back to the things how it was when they had Kawhi, when they had 2 elite wings, Kawhi and Pascal Siakam. And they probably feel like that was the winning formula for them, and they want to get back to that. So that's what I think outside looking in. I mean, I don't covers Toronto Raptors. I'm not on their beat, but just outside looking in, that's what I would think they are trying to do.
I would say something very similar. I mean, they did trade for Precious Achiuwa as well too. He was a good player when he played last year in Miami. He was effective in the minutes that he got. Like he plays hard. He's another guy that kind of embraces the culture Toronto created a few years ago with grit and grind and sacrifice your body and do anything necessary to win a basketball game. So now I kind of see they're kind of going for players like this with drafting Scotty Barnes and then trading for Precious Achiuwa. Gary Trent's another gritty player who also plays that style. Pascal is a gritty player when he's healthy. There's a lot of question marks about Pascal right now, though. There's rumors flying around that him and Nick Nurse don't get along, and Nick Nurse is a good coach and coached them to their championship. So they just drafted Scotty Barnes, who plays the same position theoretically as Pascal. They also brought in Precious Achiuwa. So they still have Chris Boucher. I don't know how to say his last name too well on the team, who's a big man who played quite well last year.
Mm-hmm.
So these are people that they're bringing in that play similar positions to Pascal. Does that mean
OG too?
Oh yeah, that's gonna be their starting three for sure. So who's actually a very talented player. He's actually really progressing well. Like, what does that mean for Pascal? Do you think that this is actually my hot take question right now? So we're doing a little bit earlier in the episode. Do you think that Pascal has a future in Toronto, or do you think this is coming to an end?
I think it's coming to an end.
I think so too.
I think it's coming to an end. I think if they come across the right deal at the right time for the right players, they'll pull the trigger. In my opinion, I feel like he's not like somebody that's like super untouchable. He's not somebody that if they call him out, they're gonna be like, "What are you talking about? Why would you even call for him?" They're gonna be like, "So what you offering?"
Yeah, I would probably agree.
They might be the person that's calling people. Do y'all want Pascal?
Right? I mean, if rumors are flying around between you and the head coach who coaches the championship aren't getting along, you guys aren't seeing eye to eye.
Yeah.
Your play has not been the best as the last ever since the championship. Like, there's questions now.
Question for you. Do you think Pascal can be who they want him to be? Like, do you think he could be that lead guy on a team like for a playoff team?
No. I think that
he's more of a secondary third star.
Yeah, he's more of that. I think when they won the championship, he was great because while a lot of pressure was on him, the main focus is always Kyle Lowry and Kawhi Leonard, especially Kawhi Leonard, right? Like, Kawhi Leonard is going to put the ball in the hoop. Kyle Lowry is going to do everything, right? And Pascal, while he was a major focus of their championship, he wasn't the primary defensive assignment for anybody, right? Like maybe Draymond at points, right? During that series, but then Draymond will have to go to Kawhi for a while. Their focus was to stop Kawhi Leonard. He stopped Kawhi Leonard, hope for the best. There was one game he did put up like 30 points, and he helped lead them to a win in that finals, and it was a great game, right? But he wasn't the focal of their offense. He was great. He played his role great, but Kawhi Leonard was that person, and Kyle Lowry was that person. Van Fleet was that person as well too. They were a talented team. They had so many good players in and out. So I don't think he can be the best player in a championship team, and I do think he could be a good secondary, probably more of a third player on a championship team. But as of right now, I don't. What they're trying to mold him to be, I think that's kind of why they got Scotty, as they're kind of building for the future. So
yeah. And speaking of Scotty, I know I didn't talk about him. Scotty, he seems like a player to me that does a lot of things well, but nothing great. So he has to improve his scoring, because he's not the best scorer, but he he feel like he feel like he's a 6'8", 6'9" point guard, which he can run the floor and do that position, but he has to work on his dribbling for sure. His passing is good, but he just seems like somebody that does a lot of things well, nothing great, and he has to work on improving and get better at levels of his game to be a player that they want him to be.
I think his best attribute right now is his motor. He will give you 110 every single possession as long as it's on that floor. And I think that's a skill that's not known because it doesn't pop up on the stat sheet, right? How hard you play never pops up on the stat sheet. How you slide your feet on defense and force a turnover doesn't apply to your stat sheet. So you don't see the things that he does well, but he does have to improve his stat sheet stuff. Like, he does have to improve his 3-point shot. He has to improve his offense. If he claims to be a 6'9" point guard like he thinks he is, then you have to improve ball handling. You have to be a better passer. You're going to do other things well. And I think he's a perfect player for right now, and he can learn. He can learn. He has a good coach, Nick Nurse, right? He's going to be a good situation out there. So I'm high on this pick. I'm excited to see since they passed up on Suggs for him. I think he can be a really good player. He had a good summer league too, so
He did.
I think
He did.
this is it wasn't a bad move. It might have been a little unconventional, but it wasn't a bad move.
Drake's he sure love him. He been homing to him ever since he made it to Toronto. So
I see, and he seems like he's a good person. Like they asked him at a Toronto Blue Jays game what the Raptor fans can expect from him, and he basically quoted Kawhi saying, "I'm a fun guy," and it was funny. Like it's funny. Like he seems to like have a good personality. He smiled when he said it. He knew what he was saying. So
yeah,
this was a good pick for them. I'm interested to see their lineup as of right now. Since we do talk about starting lineups, I predict their starting lineup to be Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, and depending if they want to go big or small, Chris, I can't say the last name, Bosher,
I got the same lineup. I feel like Dragic gonna come out the bench and Scotty will come out the bench. Those are their main players. And the player that you were talking about that they got from Miami. He's gonna come out the bench as well. He was like a Miami type of guy. I know they was mad they let him go because he was like their Pat Riley blueprint.
Yeah. So he is. Yeah, that's gonna be a good pick if he can develop really well. I mean, they did get some other players coming in too. Like they did lose Ronnie Hood, who was sometimes in rotation, sometimes not. Yeah. DeAndre Bembry, who once again sometimes in rotation, sometimes not. So, but they inked Gary Trent to a 3-year contract, $51.84 million, so $52 million. Not bad. Let's see. This is his first year. We project him to be a full-time starter. So let's see what he can really do as a full-time starter and not backing up Dame and CJ anymore. So
yeah, I agree. Well, you already gave us the hot take question. Do you have anything else you want to add on before we close it out?
Nothing more. Just stay tuned for Toronto Raptors season, and they'll be back in Toronto this year. So let's see what that brings.
Yeah, out. I was wondering when they're going to let them play back in Toronto or not this year.
Back there. I'm sure there's going to be some restrictions and stuff on them, but they are back in Toronto this year.
Great to hear. Well, that's number team 22. So thank y'all for listening, man. We have one more team left, and every team after that is going to be teams we have making the play-in or playoffs. So that's going to be our last.
What's the hint for the next one for them?
The hint for this next one is going to be, what can I say? One of their players had a scandal where he leaked a video of his teammate cheating.
They're currently in a lot of trade rumors. We'll just throw that one out there.
Yeah. Too. So
right out there too.
You gotta know who that is to know about that one. So that's it for us, man. Stay tuned for that next team. And like I said, that next team is gonna be the last team before we get into the teams. It's gonna get into the play-in or playoff. So this is the last team. We think it's gonna be a lot of team. After that, we're going straight playoffs and play-in. So it's about to get interesting, y'all. So thank y'all for listening. Stay tuned for more to come, and we appreciate y'all for tuning in. Peace.